But that doesn't mean that you have to be non-swear wordish. All right. So let me get started, guys. and again, Lindsay, you probably heard this part before, but I do like to start out where that goal setting. Goal setting is one of the big pieces to the pie that we do. And the reason being is that personal goal setting, it's not only for top level athletes. It's not only for the most successful business people out there. It is really available and really should be utilized for really anybody that maybe wants to set long-term goals or has long-term visions or short-term motivation. And it helps people focus on acquisition of knowledge. It helps people organize their time and their resources so that they can get really the most out of their life. And that's why some time ago, Kyle and I really wanted this to be a part of our processes here. So that's kind of my quick intro. What I want to be able to do to help you guys, should you have a goal in mind or goals in mind, is how to create effective goal setting. And there's many ways to set goals. It's just that over the years, we've really learned a few methods that do outshine the others. So before we get into the process of goal setting, I want to be able to listen and understand. And again, I'm going to start with Lindsay. You were first, Shaquille, Emily, Jan, and then Rebecca. And we'll just go down that line. I just want to give you guys a minute or so and share with me what you got in mind. So Lindsay, why don't you start?
Okay, I started the Precision Nutrition with Kyle I'm going on week 2.
Week 2, yep.
And so I was working also with Taylor about making sure that my macros were right. And we found out that I had put in the wrong macros in my Fitness Pal. So her and I worked on that, fixed those. And so now I'm kind of back at my step 1 of getting my macros back on track. And that's just trying to reteach myself how to make those meals now that I have to kind of tweak them so they look right. So I'm going back to my step 1, which is the hitting my macros and hitting the numbers that are there. Because I had mastered it before, but they were the wrong numbers. So I want to work on those.
And how much different were they?
Way different. Both Taylor and I were laughing. The percentages were way off. I had way too much fat and way too much, and the protein was too low. And so it's almost like I'm doubling my proteins that I was doing before. So she's like, wow, mind blowing. She goes, no wonder you weren't seeing what you wanted.
What is your macro breakdown now?
It's on my phone and I'm out in the store. It's 18. I'm supposed to eat 1,800 calories, and it's 35, 25, and 40. I think it is. 40 is the protein. 40% is the protein, and then the next is the fat, and then the carbs.
So 40, 35, 25?
Yep.
Okay. And so again, your goal and what you guys are going to learn, right, Lindsay, you already know that this is basically your outcome goal. Your outcome goal is to make sure that you're hitting your macros every single day, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. All right. Do this. Go ahead and put yourself on mute. Shaquille, I am going to unmute you. Let's hear for a minute or you. Yeah. Just what do you got going on out
there? My biggest goal is reducing body fat percentage. I just re-weighed in with Taylor this past week, so we adjusted my macros. I feel like I put on muscle pretty easily, but it's really hard for me to lose fat. And it's actually I think it's 28%, so it's actually it's in a healthy range. I would just like to reduce it a bit.
Okay, so if I hear you right, you're saying you're at 28% body fat right now. You want to reduce that?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Go ahead and do this then, Shaquille. Do you know how to mute yourself? You got it? Okay, cool. No, you had her there. I can do it too. Okay, thank you. So, okay, got your quills in. What she's looking to do here. Emily, you are next.
Yeah, I think like Shaquille, I guess, cutting back on the body fat percentage and so this is my third week in the 6-week program, and I think getting a handle on those macros and upping the protein has been a good start to doing that. I knew that our that our typical diet is very carb, but I didn't realize just how much until I started tracking that, particularly with fruit. I think I was giving myself a free pass on all the fruit that I ate, and that really adds up on the carb counting. But yeah, the ultimate goal is decreasing body fat.
Okay, got you down then for that. Give me just a second here, guys.
Did you want, like, are you at this point, are you looking for like long-term, like I want to run a marathon type goals, or are you looking for
No, really,
okay.
really anybody's, obviously, right? It's your goal or goals.
Yeah.
And it can be 1, it can be 3, it can be 5. It's really up to you folks. I mean, just to share, Emily, there has been some people, yeah, right, they have maybe goals more related to either aesthetics or nutritional type goals. There are some people, right, that have performance related goals. And there are some people that maybe have goals that are definitely outside of the gym. I know there's one gal I work with, she has business related goals. And we really do utilize the same process. The same process where that what you're going to see and what you're going to find out is how to actually take actionable steps, simple actionable steps, to be able to create your outcome based goal. But right now, yeah, it sounds like that you are wanting to reduce body fat.
Yeah, that's the primary focus. I've done martial arts the last 2 years, and I did a bunch of tournaments, and I really like the competition aspect. So if there, I'm looking at, long term, I'm looking at distance running or something, something that would be more of a competitive type goal too. So that's further out, but that's in the back of my head too.
Okay. Good. Let me switch from my other screen. There might be somebody else joining us here. Somebody just messaged me, guys, so I'm just sending them the link as we speak here. Okay. Jan, you were up next. And I got to tell you, Jan, I was prepared for you in case I saw you today.
You were.
I didn't know if you had heard about these 2 college sorority girls, or that they were out there in the lawn looking at their car's flat tire.
Yeah.
And the one gal, and maybe what we can do just to help this joke along, we can just maybe, I didn't say it that they were, having blonde hair, but let's just assume they have blonde hair. Okay. Where that one of the gals looks again at the flat tire and she says, "I don't understand." And the other gal goes, "What?" And that one girl then goes, "How come the bottom part of the tire always gets a flat?" And the other gal goes, "Good question." So
well, I'm glad that I was able to connect with you on that joke today, Corey.
Yeah, that's one of those. Yeah. Anyway, so Jan, let's hear from you. What are you thinking? What do you got going on?
I think mine are more strength. I would love to be able to do an unassisted pull-up.
Ooh, okay, awesome. Okay. Have you ever tried one before? I thought you had.
Yes, I've tried it. I can get a little bit upwards. But I just can't, I feel like I get stronger, Corey. I've gotten stronger in the last 2 years that I've been there for sure. But I think for me, it's the strength.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, it's actually good that Rebecca's on the line here, because that's something that Rebecca's been working on here for some time. I know that. And I got yours now down on my sheet of paper here, Jan. Anything else that you want me to know of?
No, I think for me, and for Lindsay too. Lindsay, I've been doing the PN coaching as well. And for me, it's helped me get less worked up about, absolutely more conscious about my diet, but not as anxious about it. which has allowed me to focus a little bit more on some other things, which I think has been good for me. But I mean, as I get older, I just want to have a lot of energy and be in overall good physical shape.
Cool. Cool. So again, then strength and more so the ability to have that upper body strength to do a pull-up.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
gotcha. All right, Rebecca, you're up here next. Fill me in. What's going on?
Well, I have been working on my pull-up work lately, and I've been able to get a few more reps with the blue band, and that's a marked difference from having to use the black band for assisted pull-ups that I was using it. But really, I think just like decreasing my body fat ratio would be fantastic. I have no idea really where to start other than just cutting out all the carbs that I can.
Is something that you've done in the past, Rebecca, and had success with?
I have never done so.
Have you been told that is something of a successful value to do?
By my doctor, yes.
Okay. Okay. I'm not going to blatantly say that maybe your doctor should leave some of the human performance side of things to the people that are in that field, but again, I'm not going to say that. But
okay.
The reality is that doesn't work for everybody. It may even for some people for a short time period that, yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm going to, just like Lindsay was talking about, right, changing her macronutrient content of her meals each and every day. And the reason why we were able to work with that and that's effective for people is that some people are maybe metabolically different than other folks. And because of that, some people may actually need more carbohydrates than other people. and so on and so on. So what you had heard Lindsay talk about and Shaquille talk about there is, yes, kind of wow, they had started here with really our Farm Strong Forks program. And that is, it's like step number one is understanding what and how much you need to eat each and every day.
Okay.
And I would say just by doing that, Rebecca, that'll help you get situated where that, yeah, for the next maybe 4 weeks to 6 weeks, or I know it usually for myself, it takes me a while. It takes me a good couple months to notice, like if I am trying to increase my body weight or decrease my body weight, it does. It usually takes me a couple months to get that physiological change because I need to practice whatever that macronutrient content that I'm working with.
Okay.
So that would be a good first step for you. But I did just write down after your name here, again, reduce body fat percentage.
Yeah.
Okay, so here then, guys, is step two. After hearing from all of you guys, and there's 3 of them here, yes, the outcome goal is to reduce body fat percentage. Lindsay is wanting to work with a different macro content, and Jan is basically wanting of a higher strength value. Here's the one thing that you guys want to make sure that what you do, and do all you guys have that worksheet that I had sent you guys here about a half hour ago?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So at the top of that worksheet, in other words, I can share my screen and some of you folks will be able to see this and some of you folks may not. So I think some of you guys are on the phone. Share. There it is. Okay. So again, some of you guys that are able to view in here, are you able to see what I have on screen right now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
That is that worksheet. That one part of that worksheet where, right, it says from goal to action, where at the top is that overall goal. In other words, what you guys want to be able to decipher and do is make sure that the top of that is an outcome-based goal. So since there's 3 of you here with a goal in mind of reducing body fat percentage, that outcome-based goal, we don't necessarily want to say, I just need to reduce body fat percentage. What you folks want to actually put in there is an exact percentage or number. In other words, I want to lose 5% body fat. And that would be an example there, Shaquille, for you had talked about, I think you said your current measurement is at 28%. If I remember
Yeah,
right.
that's right.
Yeah, normative value for you gals is that 18 to 28% range. So right in the middle of that, of course, 5% less than 28 is right. It's going to be 23%. So you could either write in there, my outcome-based goal is to be at 23% body fat, or my outcome-based goal is to reduce body fat by 5%. Because again, we have now an exact number. Or other examples would be, I want to lose X amount of pounds. In Jan, in your case, if it's a strength related goal, maybe it's an exact lift, which I remember helping Josh work with here not too long ago. He wants to lift X amount of weight in the snatch. So again, we want to be pretty specific about that and make that a meaningful outcome goal. Does that make sense, guys?
Yep.
Okay. So now to get an outcome, and now that's where you kind of just scroll down a little bit there. There's month 1 skill to develop, month 2 skill to develop, month 3, month 4, and so on. What we want to be able to identify, guys, is actions, behaviors, and then daily tasks that help us develop into that outcome goal. Now, I'll just use an example because, again, there's 3 of you gals here that have body fat percentage reduction in mind. And maybe, Lindsay, this will go back to what we had talked about some time ago. Do you remember that one of those skills and actually practices that we had some time ago really put down on your sheet for you to start practicing and doing?
It was prepping my proteins ahead of time.
Yep.
So that I was ready.
I remember that. And the other one I remember, do you remember how we just talked about water intake?
Yes.
Making sure that you are on exactly your water intake each and every day. So I say that because, those are those are action steps each and every day that folks want to do and should do. But if you think about it, I'm sure a lot of people do forget about those. So what we're really looking to do is those actions that should be in place. Now what we're going to do is turn them into skills, or what we call action-based goals. So again, if somebody's overall goal at the top of that sheet is to reduce body fat by 5%, month 1 skill to develop, that should be a skill, though, guys, that you've never done before. It should be something new. So I just say that if you never actually substantially for a whole month measured your water intake, that would be okay putting that in there. If it's something that you have done before, cool. Let it be something that you've done before. Work with a different skill or a different action in that first month. So let me ask you then, Shaquille, what would be something of a new skill to develop in that first month that, again, you've never done, that you think will overall help you with your body fat percentage?
I feel like I definitely drink enough water, but I don't know that I actually keep exact track of it. I mean, I usually fill up like 4 24-ounce bottles, and I know I drink way more than that, but maybe keeping track of it would be something. And actually, one of the other things that I'm talking to Corey. Sorry, my kids are asking who I'm talking to. The main reasons I want to reduce my body fat and that I'm trying to make sure that I'm working out, 5 days a week is I want to increase my energy. I'm tired all the time. So
okay.
It's not very, it doesn't really work with 4 kids to be exhausted.
Okay, cool. So you gave me a couple things here to work on. Again, this is going to help the rest of you guys. Go ahead and mute yourself, Shaquille.
Yep.
So it doesn't, again, necessarily have to be water intake for that first month. If that's something, though, too, that you feel that, hey, in 2 weeks, Corey, I could really dial in my water intake, then farther down where it says first practice and second practice, and those are 2-week segments, you could put your water intake down with one of them. Where that up above, again, that first month, that month 1 skill to develop. If you wanted, and again, you're talking about energy, maybe you're talking about 2, the ability to recover, restful sleep, whatever it may be, that there could be a skill to develop. Where that what is really supporting then that skill, right? What is supporting more energy is, right? Yes, water intake. We all know that proper hydration is going to help facilitate bodily functions. So again, there's ways that you guys can build upon this In other words, what I would obviously write at the top, the goal, the outcome goal, that's the overall goal. That's what you're doing here. The things that are kind of like second in line, of importance, I would put them in the month 1, month 2, month 3 skills develop. Those easy peasy pieces, again, such as water intake, making sure your protein, or making sure you have your foods prepared for the week. Maybe some of you folks, I know some of you guys work long hours, maybe Monday through Thursday. Maybe you just want to make sure that your meals are prepared for those 4 days. And that could be a practice, a first or a second practice to do. So hopefully that makes sense, guys, or that again, at the top is your outcome goal. That month 1 skill, that month 2 skill, those are things that are, yes, of kind of secondary importance. And then what you're practicing down there, those should be kind of the easy peasy practices. So we use an example there with the body fat percentage. Lindsay, if you're saying that you're going back then to step 1, right? If you're going back to and now kind of reforming some of these meals and macros, what skill in month 1 would you like to work with to help you hit your overall outcome goal, and that is hitting your macros?
Would be meal prepping would be my big one, because I shouldn't say meal prepping, packing my lunch, because I do the meal prep, but I tend to fail at the packing it to go to work with me.
Okay. How many meals do you need to take with each and every day?
Breakfast, snack, lunch, snack.
Okay. So what I'm hearing there is actually 2 meals, right? 2 meals.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. And I would say concentrate on the meals, because if you can hit those meals correctly, you won't have to worry about snacks.
Okay.
And I say that because it is more beneficial for us if we can get everything that we need to in the form of meals.
Okay.
If you can. I know that sometimes takes a while for people to do. But it is a little bit more purposeful if you can get meals in as meals.
Okay.
If it makes sense. So in other words, what I hear then as your month 1 skill to develop, and that is the packing of meals for work days.
Yes.
Okay. So then underneath that, like your first practice, then what would be something that you could do in that first 2 weeks of that first month to ensure that you're, making sure that you're packing at least 2 solid meals each and every workday?
Pack my meals the night before. Have them sitting ready in my fridge.
There you
to go.
Yeah. I'll share you this. We recently just had where that Jocelyn forgot her black binder to school. The girls know that if they forget their homework, it actually stays here. We're not parents that are going to get a phone call from school and go rushing their homework to school for them. We don't do that. We call that experiential education. So what I did is when she called here at the house saying that she forgot her black binder, is that I went to school and I met her in the hallway. I had the office actually call through the school. Jocelyn, please come to the office. Jocelyn, she was expecting me to be there with her homework. Guess what I was there to do? I was there to help reinforce that ability to get everything packed together the night before and out in the hallway, so that because she has to get up early and go down to the bus, that everything is ready to go. Now, I know that can be kind of hardcore, but just what you're talking about there, though, Lindsay, and that is right, getting everything situated ahead of time. I think that's a really, really good practice. I myself, I have to basically leave here before 4 a.m. I like to get in there early, and that's what I do. I pack my food. I pack both sets of clothes. I pack everything that I need for today, because I usually prep my work week on Sundays is what I do. And I would think that would be a really good practice to do, is just prepare the night before. Yeah. Okay. So maybe too, Rebecca, Shaquille, Emily, this is giving you guys some ideas as how to kind of formulate your action plan.
Yeah, I already prep all my meals and pack everything the night before, and I usually plan out my meals for the week ahead and make it all on the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So I do all that and I make sure everything's ready to go the night before. So all I have to do is just chuck it into my lunch
So it sounds like then you already have some practices in place, but what really Rebecca needs is, if we go all the way to the top of that worksheet, that outcome-based goal, what Rebecca wants to be able to figure out is exactly where that body fat percentage needs to be, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, my suggestion is to make sure you either meet with myself or Taylor, and I know you usually come in early, do it sometime ahead of class, and let's get you on our InBody machine so that we can figure out some exact numbers, so then you can figure out exactly what that outcome goal needs to be.
Okay.
and then we can start getting you your macros, your numbers, and that going forward, because that's where
Okay.
we basically start everybody there. Yeah.
Okay.
Emily, is this helping so far?
Sorry, I had you on mute. Yeah, it's very helpful. I'm just taking it all in at this point. I think I do a decent job of tracking the macros, and lunch for me is easier than dinner in terms of planning. Lunches I'm okay. Breakfast I'm okay. But then dinner is when the schedule gets kind of crazy, and that's when planning can kind of go out the window. So
let me ask you this: if you got that worksheet there in front of you, what is at the top? What is your overall outcome goal? Now that you know that, hey, I need something exact. I need something to be exactly wrote down. What is that for you? In other words, right, if you have a goal to reduce body fat percentage, are you talking, I want to reduce body fat percentage by 5%, or what is that you're exactly
right.
going to do?
Yep, yeah, something along those lines. I haven't settled on what that percentage would be, but something along those lines, yeah.
Okay, and do that. Give yourself an exact number or something exact to work off of. Versus, right, just stating that. Well, it's just going to work better, obviously, when you have an exact number. Okay. Now,
yep.
Jan,
what is what's reasonable? What's a reasonable? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Oh, okay. What would be a reasonable number for that in say a 1 month time period?
In a 1 month, I've seen some people in 6 weeks lose actually pretty much just doing the right things, nothing all that extreme. I've seen sometimes people lose 6% body fat in 6 weeks.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. And honestly, Emily, their biggest changes have been that they're making sure that they get the correct water intake in each and every day, and they're hitting macros exactly.
Okay.
You do that, and you'll be surprised how quickly. Again, it usually takes me about 2 months, and probably so. I'm just a little bit thicker person, all that. So it usually takes me about 2 months, because I know, like this last fall, I reformatted my macros to match what I wanted to do this last fall. Now I'm going to my preseason time period, so now my macros and things are much different. My training is much different. So I've had to kind of reformulate all those. And again, it usually takes me about 2 months, and I'm getting to that point here now where that I've lost nearly about 8 pounds so far. My guess is I have probably went down a couple % body fat, but again, it usually takes me 2 months. A guy that's a little bit thicker, a little bit dense, to do that.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool. Any other questions that you may have with that, Emily?
Not right now.
Okay. So Jan, let me ask you, because right, we've been talking so far a lot about nutrition, macros and things like that. You're talking about the ability to gain strength, have a pull-up. Okay. What would you like to be at the top of your goal to action worksheet? What is that exact outcome goal that you want?
Well, the exact outcome is to be able to do an unassisted pull-up. I think that would be ultimately my goal, is to do that without a band or.
Okay. Okay, so we're going to put a pull-up up there.
Yep.
Okay. So aside from, right, obviously, aside from actually practicing pull-ups, what skill would you like to develop that's kind of a secondary skill to pull-ups, and work on that for a month?
Well, Corey, I think that's where I'm kind of clueless around this piece around what's the best way to build that strength. So for me, a skill would be to better understand what exercises impact certain areas or help to
Okay.
build that capability.
Mhm, mhm. How many times again do you come in per week?
Well, I'm unlimited, and I sometimes 5, 6.
Okay, so you're coming in plenty of times. If you can recall, let's just say just in the last month, how many days per week on average do you find yourself doing body weight based pulling movements, like a pull up, right? Vertical pulls.
You know, I don't know if I've ever really thought about it that way.
Okay.
I mean, I think about this last week, what we were doing. We did, yeah. The week before, I think we did more, but I haven't really paid that attention to it. So I think that's a great point, is how often am I, and I'm making sure I'm making those classes a priority.
Yeah, so just to share, I mean, I know obviously I do a lot of the stuff behind the scenes, but when I put your guys' programming together via whatever program, whether it's CrossFit Health or the performance side of things, and I know I don't put that all the time out there. A lot of the folks that are doing performance-based programming, they actually kind of know what to do on the days that they come in.
Yeah.
Because I don't usually put that on the programming. But then they're right, our Farm Strong program, you know, I am making sure that there at least is in each and every week about a 2-to-1 ratio, meaning I want 2 pull components to the 1
Okay.
push. Now, I do that for a variety of reasons, obviously what I had studied and what I know, but also there are overall sometimes within, let's say, a 3-month template. Like usually that's what I do. Our programming for each program, I like to have a focus for about 3 months. We get through that focus and then we start and switch gears and do something different. But overall in a 3 months time period, you can sometimes, it's almost a 3-to-1 ratio when you like average it on out. That
Okay.
is kind of ultimate. So the reason for me asking that question, I guess, and then stating this is that, yeah, it would be nice that at least during your week that you would feel like, okay, yes, I've done, you know, if you've come in a total of 5 days, I'm hoping that, right, 3 of those days for sure are pull oriented days for you and 2 are push oriented days.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yep.
If not, and then that's what actually I've done with Rebecca some time ago, and there's nothing wrong with developing a new skill or so, in other words, accessory training that you can do before class, after
Okay.
class, or if you got to set up at home, things to help your vertical pulling component. And there's a variety of ways to do that. It could be just that you want to make sure that you have, well, maybe you're going to concentrate on 2 or 3 different movements 1 to 2 times a week within that month. And
Yeah.
you're going to develop the skill to basically accessorize your training. And then within the first 2 weeks of that month, this is what you focus on and this is what you do. And then the second 2-week time period of that first month, this is what you do and this is what you're working with. In other words, right, it's really just accessory programming.
Okay.
And Rebecca, if you don't mind relying on you a little bit, how many days per week do you average doing that accessory training of yours?
I kind of slacked off for a little bit, but now, yes, I freely admit it. I kind of slacked off in December, but I'm getting back to doing it at least 3 times a week.
You are, okay. Okay, cool. And again, that is, you said, Rebecca, it is helping you, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Gymnastics they sometimes take a while to develop.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, they're one of those. It can be easy to see the progress, let's say, on a back squat, because obviously you're putting the weight on and off all the time. You see that, you physically see that. It's hard to see the physicalness when it comes to pulls or muscle ups or running, things like that. It is very hard to see that. So that would be just something, Jan, that I would suggest, and we actually have some templates in house that can help you build your vertical pulling strength. And it might just be something that maybe you and I just meet together outside of class time to go over and do.
Perfect.
Just so that you understand it, where that, again, if that's your outcome based goal, like, okay, this is what Jan now can work on in the first month, break it down by 2-week chunks.
That would be great.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll just make sure then in your case that yes, we're doing that, and then you can start to break down your action plan, however and whatever you'd like to focus on and do. Okay. I think we had somebody else just come online here not too long ago. Mom, is that you?
Here.
Mom, how you doing?
I'm here late, for goodness sakes.
What were you out there doing? Shoveling, playing with the dogs, or what?
Yeah, pretty much. Not. Anyway, sorry I'm late, but something came.
Speak up a little bit, Mom.
I'm sorry I'm late. Something had come up, but I just absorbing everything.
Okay. Did you absorb the part of what we're talking about, what an outcome goal is?
Yes.
Okay. So like at the top of everything, like this is your exact outcome. And this is what Mom wants to do. And any idea of what you're wanting to do or any type of goal in mind?
Well, my goal was starting in December to be able to move more. I had the scoliosis acting up. I had other medical issues. And as of yesterday, my distance was a lot further with running and squatting lower and back at it and back at nutrition. So my goals are coming.
Okay. What I'd like to hear from you then is or maybe you're just wanting to listen, but is there an exact outcome goal that you're wanting to work on right now?
Well, weight would probably be number one.
Okay.
Second is keep my body moving.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about body weight then. That I think that's just easy to use. Is there an exact body weight that you want to weigh?
Well, I'd love to lose 10 pounds, and I should
Okay.
for my health reasons.
Okay. So I'll just write that down. In other words, at the top of your goal to action worksheet, reduce body weight by 10 pounds.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So then remember, underneath that outcome goal, right now you have some, right? I know on our worksheet we have 4 months. For some people that we've already went past 4 months, but in that first month, that month one skill, what type of skill would you like to work on and develop? And really, right, these skills, they should be types of skills that maybe, right, you have not worked with or ever done before. Is there anything that comes to mind to help you lose 10 pounds of body weight?
Well, running more, working at the gym more, and I have started that. Added another day a week.
Okay, so how many days per week are you averaging now?
I am going 3. I was 2.
Two. Okay. So then, okay, so within a month's time, looking to increase your activity time, or you're looking to increase 1 more training day per week.
Correct.
Okay. So the nice thing about that is that type of skill, right, it is kind of open-ended, where that now, like your first practice, your second practice, which is underneath that month one skill to develop, which are 2-week segments again, what are some things that can help then that other training experience per week be a very, very successful hour of your time is something that I would say that, yeah, you should be looking towards doing. In other words, right, we know that we have better training experiences if we're rested and recovered, if we're hydrated. I mean, I can literally tell, I've been doing this so long, I can tell on the floor when people, whatever type of workout we're doing, if they're dehydrated, if they're not fed well, or if they're hurting. Like it's it can be seen in movement. And again, that's just because I've been doing it for so long, I think, as I can see that. So those are just again some things that, right, you could maybe concentrate on that first week, is again make sure that third training experience per week is just as good as the first 2.
I have increased my water intake, and those R&R pills that you guys for
Yep.
sleep. I am almost sleeping 4 hours a night. It's unbelievable. So sleep
Yeah,
is getting better. Yeah.
Yeah, magnesium, being able to get into a deeper sleep, longer periods of time.
Yep.
Yeah, we like that stuff too.
Yeah.
Okay. So you kind of understand the format then. It's just,
Right.
just in speaking to all you guys now, what you want to make sure that you do when you put together your practices, and again, that's down there at the bottom of these worksheets, that first practice, second practice, third practice, fourth practice, all the way down, you want to make sure that those are not a bunch of stuff. You want to make sure that each and every one of them is very clear. It's very simple and straightforward. So again, if you're wanting to make sure and practice the ability to stay hydrated each and every day, your water intake is going to be in one of those 2-week segments. And that's it. you're not gonna put anything else with it. Again, you want it to be just specific, very concrete. The other parts about doing this is that it should still be very doable and realistic. So like, for example, Jan, I'll just use your example. Let's say month 2 skill to develop. You're thinking that, all right, I'm feeling stronger after the first month. I'm going to go compete in a world-class strongman competition.
Awesome.
Yeah, awesome. Come watch. But like, think about that. Is that realistic right now with your journey?
Right.
And so those are some things that we do. We have to make sure that, okay, we are scaling this for success. And it's okay if some of these skills, it's okay if some of these 2-week practices that we do, if they are relatively easy. That is like, okay. They don't have to be something excruciatingly painful, hard to do. And in fact, what we usually say now is what we usually help people understand is the psychology of this. And this is where I kind of conclude is the psychology of goal setting. We want to be able to use what's called approach goal setting versus avoidance goal setting. And what I mean by that is maybe, Lindsay, you remember what we've talked about here in the past is like avoidance-based goals are things that you want to stop doing. Let's say somebody wants to stop drinking soda or they want to stop eating junk food. The reason why these avoidance-based goals are counterproductive is that they take up a lot of mental capacity, a lot of mental energy. If we're telling ourselves to stop doing something, that almost guarantees we're going to keep doing it. Why? Because we stay overly focused on what we can't do. So again, these avoidance-based sentences that people say, and I hear them all the time, or these avoidance-based things that people post socially and things like that, what I can tell is that it's taking up a lot of mental and emotional energy and real estate in that person's body and mind. So what we like to help you guys understand is that things that will help you guys get started doing and doing more of, and that is using an approach and an approached mindset. So these approached mindsets, what they do is they help you guys pull and gravitate towards something that is desirable for you guys. In other words, what it kind of does is that over time, it quietly pulls you away from something you're trying to avoid. They help you focus on what's feeling good and then doing good for yourself. So an approach sentence, or the psychology of having a more approach goal in mind, that would be like, I'm going to eat more colorful fruits and vegetables. I'm going to prepare healthy foods and meals so I have them on hand in advance. Or I'm going to drink a glass of water with each and every meal. So does that make sense, guys?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so again, really having positive objectives and a clear path to taking action is going to help you guys keep doing and doing more of. And that'll help you guys really become more of a mastery of your own whatever outcome goal in which you guys want to work with. Okay. So any questions with that, guys? No. Why don't I then just open up the floor here for about the next 5 to 7 minutes, guys? Is there anything else that I can help with? And Lindsay, let me start with you.
Okay. So something that you brought up that I've never, I guess it's out of what I'm used before when I've gone on different diets, fads, diets and all that. They always promoted like having, snacks between meals. But what you were saying is you really should base what you're eating, everything should be in your breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Yeah, the ideal is to obviously get as many of your calories in that in with the meals in which you have.
Okay.
And yeah, I know what you're kind of saying. The reason being, and there actually is quite a bit of good research out there about intermittent fasting. Now, believe it or not, people may not know or say that, yes, I do intermittent fasting, but in all essence, if you go to sleep at night, guess what you're doing? You're fasting. And it's actually an okay thing, where that you get your body used to working through a lot of the regulatory systems in your body, where that it doesn't always have food in the stomach to work with. There's actually some positives to that. I would say though, like, right, snacks can come in the form of, in other words, like, right, I ate this morning early. I train at the 11 a.m. class, so I hadn't ate since that early morning time. And right, what did I have after 11 a.m. class? After doing wall balls and mountain climbers for however many minutes, I had our post-WOD, which is really a protein and a carbohydrate source. And then I also had a banana, which would be my secondary carb sources, right? We always want a 2-to-1 ratio. So that wasn't a meal to me. That's kind of a snack, right?
Right.
So those things are going to occur during the day anyway, and that's okay. I'm not saying like you have to eliminate that. What you'll just find is that it's going to be easier for you guys to really dial in your macro content, where that when you're putting those meals together.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
Yeah, I mean, the way it kind of goes for myself, and I know a lot of other folks, is the breakfast, the lunch. It's almost like the breakfast is a little bit smaller than the lunch, and the lunch is definitely smaller than the dinner, because the dinner is probably for a lot of us the biggest meal of the day.
Yeah.
And the other reason for doing that, making sure that that you devour like a warrior at night, is that actually helps you sleep. Like, how many people go to sleep really well on an empty stomach?
Right.
Right. There's this old school theorem, or there's if you want to look up sometime, and there's not a lot of it out there online, but look up the warrior diet. Way back when, I don't know when, but right, these warriors, they would be busy doing warrior-like things all day, and they really wouldn't have time to sit down and eat like warriors, where they would consume just massive amounts of food, and that is at night.
So is it okay, like, and I've reached a weird part in my work situation. I had a person go on maternity leave, and I lost another person. So I'm having a hard time getting that luncheon.
Okay.
But is it okay to do like a big breakfast and maybe like do some kind of like trail mix in the middle of it, and then have a big dinner? Because it's really hard for me to get that break in the middle.
Here's what I would suggest is probably actually, right, you said you have the ability to prepare food ahead of time.
Right.
Do you have the ability, because I got another gal that does this. She doesn't have a lot of time to sit down and eat during the middle part of the day. What she has found success with is that she does blend up and make like a shake.
Okay.
But she makes more along the lines of a meal replacement shake. And what I mean by that, it's not just a protein type thing. It's not just protein powder and water. She puts different types of butters in there. She puts fruit with it. She obviously puts whey. I think she uses whey. So there's a protein, a carbohydrate, and then a fat source in that shake. And it's a thick shake. It is. During that lunch period, she's got to shake it up and stir it up a little bit, because it's thick. It's got some calories to it. And that's what those meal replacement shakes should have. They shouldn't just be this little hunky-dory 200 calorie thing. No, they should be like a 500-600 calorie thing. It should take you a little while to like drink that. So
that's a good idea.
Yeah. I used to do that a lot when I was doing my master's studies, because I was always in the lab, and that's when I was bodybuilding, and my caloric intake was like, had to be over 5,000. I remember each one of those days back then. And that's what I was doing, is I was making a lot of my meal replacement shakes, because I didn't have time to leave the lab and go get food. So I was once or twice a day having meal replacement shakes.
Okay. That's good, because I just hit this week, and I know that I just don't have the time, and I'm trying, but then what happens is I'm like rushing, and it's like, okay, now I'm not taking the time to eat the food. It's like whatever is going down it's not helpful. So
I would say a simple example of that is just make sure you get a serving of protein powder in that. You can make it with milk if you do good with milk, because milk is adding more calories, especially whole milk.
Okay.
Put some fruit in it, put a serving of fruit in it, and then make sure maybe you got one, if not two servings of some type of butter. I don't know if you do good with peanut butter, almond butter, whatever it is, and you
Okay.
blend that all up. Yeah, you got yourself some calories right there.
Okay, perfect.
Of course, we'd always rather go for the steak, sweet potato with butter on it and broccoli, but you just don't have
Yeah.
time to do that. Yeah, no, good question. Anybody else, guys, with a question? Anything I can help with?
I do. So my job is a very much a sit down job. And I find I focus better if I'm snacking on something. So if I have like a small breakfast and a little bit of a snack, a medium lunch, and a little bit another snack, but have a big meal at night, would that work? Or should I just try to do the whole fasting thing?
Well, do you think it's just kind of a conditioned response, Rebecca, or that because you're working and doing things, you just kind of like to find yourself being busy doing other things as you're working?
It
Just
might
like,
be that.
yeah, I mean, just like me having my Focus Aid right now, it's kind of nice. Obviously, I want something to drink as I'm talking a lot, but you know what I mean? It's kind of nice to have something like that.
Yes.
And that might be the case. It could be just a conditioned response that you're used to. Otherwise, again, I would say, right, if you're getting, and again, I know you got to figure that out with Taylor Eye here, but if you're getting the majority of your calories in with meals and doing that right, what you'll be able to understand then is that, okay, if I am hitting my meals calorie wise and all that correctly, right, obviously then if you are snacking or having this meal in the morning or that extra meal in the afternoon, that if that's carrying you over in your calories, then right, you just know that, okay, I'm not going to be able to work with that. So I think it all comes back to just making sure that you know where you're at calorie wise. And as you go throughout the day, you might be able to formulate a plan that, yes, if you do want to have something as you're working, as long as it works within your caloric intake, sure, you can have that. But again, right, if it's taking you over 300 calories per day, then yeah, probably not. Does that help?
Yes, it does.
So again, that's just something that we got to get you situated with here then.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions, guys?
Hey, Corey.
Yes.
Would we be able to sit down and kind of go over some other ideas other than the water intake, that sort of stuff? I mean, I hit my macros pretty well.
Okay.
I come in there. I'm there 3 days for sure. I usually try to come in on Saturday for the CrossFit class at 7. And I'm starting to do my Tuesday, Thursday thing at home. But I'm just not really sure what to do. The 6-week challenge I did, I was pretty darn good on my macros the whole time, and I didn't lose much in the way of body fat. So I don't know what I'm doing wrong, I guess.
But you had talked about earlier an obstacle being energy, right?
Yeah, that's really I would like to lose, Pudge from having 4 kids, but I would like to not be tired all the time.
So some things that I would dig into and what you can share with me sometime if you want to email me later on.
Yeah.
Here's some considerations. One, and I know some of you folks got like, I forget what watch that is. You guys can actually monitor your sleep and then you can figure out over a week's time how much sleep you're averaging.
Yeah, I have a Fitbit and it does. I just found my charger again. So I've been kind of keeping track of it that way.
I would definitely look into that. In other words, figure out exactly how much sleep you're averaging within a week. Because if you're a really active lady, you better make sure you've got a lot of sleep going on.
Yeah.
A lot of restful sleep. Secondly, then, would probably be the timing of your meals.
Okay.
If you're doing that much activity, timing comes into play. And I know Taylor's good with that, and so am I.
Okay.
In other words, if you got a really active day coming up, how do you time your meals so that, yeah, you aren't exasperating yourself from running out of energy come 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah.
So if you can figure out those 2 things for me, and again, just email me sometime, we can definitely start there.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, guys, any other questions? No? Okay. So action steps going forward. It sounds like you guys have a good understanding of how to utilize that goal to action worksheet. If you guys need any help, like I know some people have just kind of made a rough draft of that and they've just put on my desk. And if you want me to look that over, I can help you guys. Otherwise, work on this month going forward. Again, that overall outcome goal, your first month skill to develop, and how you're going to break up that month. And then obviously too, the second step would be then I'd love to be able to hear from you next month in March. Thirdly, then, Rebecca, I know we got to get together, have Taylor and you get together, get that in-body done. Jan, I want to go over with you the accessory piece on developing upper body strength. And I think everybody else is pretty situated to go forward here. Am I correct, guys?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, cool, guys. This was good. This was a good hour. Again, if you got any other questions or so, or if you want me to look over that rough sheet, that rough draft sheet, just set it on my desk. I'll be able to do that for you guys. Otherwise, yeah, I do look forward to hearing from some of you guys then in March. I'd like to see how you're doing.
Thanks, Corey.
Cool.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Corey.
Yeah, thanks you guys.
Thank you.
Have a
Bye,
good night.
You want me to stay on or just talk to you later?
Oh yeah, you can stay on, Rebecca. That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, let me do this. Let me just unshare my screen. Go back to.
I click off or you click off, Corey?
Oh yeah, Mom, you can exit whenever you'd like to.
Okay, I am.
Yeah.
Good night.
Yeah, thanks, Mom. All right.
Figure out how to do it here.
Okay.
I can't get out.
So. I am coaching Rebecca the next 2 early mornings.
Okay.
Are you coming in by chance the next 2 mornings at all?
Friday. I'm
You are?
taking tomorrow off since I worked out Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. I figure I should probably give myself a break.
Sure.
I don't overdo it.
Sure. Well, let's just do this then. Why don't we, it won't take that long to do the in-body scan, just a couple of things to keep in consideration. One, if you can, abstain from having alcohol the day and the night before.
Okay.
2, if you can come in on an empty stomach, that would be great. 3, just make sure you don't have like any lotions on your hand or on your feet.
Okay.
Those are probably the 3 big ones to help produce is an exact readout for you as possible. And then what I'll just do is in my schedule here, I'm just going to put a note. Rebecca Porter, in-body scan. In fact, let me put this in my Google. I know you usually get there sometimes early as well.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to put it as 4:40. Yeah, I'll just put it in for 10 minutes here, Rebecca, and I'm going to send you this link here too.
Okay.
Okay, so I just got it in here from 4:40 to 4:50 there, Friday morning. I'll make
Okay.
sure that machine is going and yeah, I can at least get that done for you and get you started. 'Cause
Okay,
then,
that would be fantastic.
Yeah, your next step then will have you then follow up with Taylor, because what she's going to be able to do is take that in-body readout, and then she can help you going forward with the calories in which you can start working with. So I'm just going to send this to you,
Okay.
and it should have just sent off to you. Okay,
Okay.
we got her situated then.
All right. Thank you, Corey.
You betcha. All right, so if I don't see you tomorrow, I'll see you Friday morning then.
Yep. See you Friday morning. Thank you, Corey.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye.